Today, we're gonna make Salisbury steak. If you haven't had this before, if you think of cafeteria food, don't. It's delicious. Here are all the ingredients. Let's get into it right now. Salisbury steak, Jim, what are you talking about? I think this is a great one, and I don't think, I know it is. It's delicious. You know, I think you group this in with kind of like sloppy joes, right, Tara? Would you say that? That's kind of...
I mean, my only experience with Salisbury steak is just hearing that it was something they serve in like school cafeterias, and wasn't that good.
It like comes in TV dinners, right? You can buy them. Yeah.
That's right.
All right, forget all that. Forget it all. This is great, all right? Okay, so let's get into the ingredients. This tray right here is the steaks themselves. So we have 1.5 pounds of 80/20 ground chuck. I have 2 eggs here. The eggs are gonna bind it. A 1/4 cup of milk. That's gonna make it moister. We have 1/3 cup of grated onion. That's gonna make it moister, all right? And it's really gonna add to the flavor of it. The grated onion's amazing. When you do it, don't grate your fingers, okay? I made this 2 weeks ago, and that box grater, oh boy, I was like tearing through that onion, and then, whew, it wasn't good. We have 5 cloves of garlic minced, or paste. I turned it into a paste, but feel free to mince it. 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. Get more comments about how I'm saying that wrong, so I think I did a good job.
I think it's Worcestershire.
1/2 cup of seasoned breadcrumbs. Those are Italian seasoned breadcrumbs. And then we have 1 tablespoon of Dijon mayonnaise, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. Then after we make our steaks and we're gonna sear them up, then we're gonna make the most delicious gravy you've ever had. So I did 1 large onion, sliced root to stem, 1 pound of mushrooms sliced, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, again, 2 teaspoons of thyme. Okay, we're gonna use fresh thyme here. I have 3 tablespoons of butter, 3 tablespoons of flour. We're gonna be able to make a roux, so we're just gonna do equal parts flour and butter, which is fine. That's another tablespoon of Dijon mustard. We have 1/2 cup of dry red wine. That's gonna make it delicious. If you can't have wine, you can't have alcohol, feel free to omit it. And then I have 2 cups of beef stock. All right, let's form those patties right now. We have 1/2 cup of those Italian seasoned breadcrumbs. 1/4 cup of milk, and then the 1/3 cup of the grated onion. So I'm telling you this just so you know exactly, because if you use a large onion, you know, you don't want to put too much in here. And I know you're probably thinking that's too much already. Trust me on it. We want to get the milk to saturate, to rehydrate the breadcrumbs. Now, if you have fresh breadcrumbs, do the same thing here. Doesn't matter. We're making a paste. What is this paste called, Tara?
A panade?
Yeah, so this is like what you would do for meatballs. Let this sit for about 5 minutes. You could do it for 10. We're gonna mix this into the meat, and that's going to allow us to really get a better distribution here. This is actually the time, if you have the bro gloves, I do recommend that you whip them out. I actually wish I had them right now. I do. I'm putting the meat in here. I have more than the recipe calls for, so I'm gonna probably make 5 patties, but it's normally perfect for 4. I'm just gonna open this up as best I can, just like spread it out. We're just making meatballs here. That's all we're doing. So 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. How much is 1/2 teaspoon? I don't know. It might not be accurate. I'll be okay though. Right, Tara?
That was way more than 1/2 teaspoon.
I think that was less than 1/2 teaspoon.
I don't think so.
I think it was less. So now we're gonna do a teaspoon of salt here. That's 1/2. So what I'm gonna do here first is I'm just gonna kind of like work that in there, and then I'll flip it all over and get my other half on. I like to do that just so my salt can kind of hit on the other side. Tara, I'm gonna put a little bit more pepper too.
Going crazy today. Living on the edge.
Okay, 1 teaspoon Dijon mustard. 4 cloves of garlic turned into a paste. You can mince it. Okay, Worcestershire. I'm gonna mix it up a little bit before I put the eggs in. Get it all combined in with the meat. You know, you're not really supposed to overmix these, but it's gonna be fine, especially with how we did the milk and the grated onion and everything. I do want to have a relatively consistent distribution here, so we're not like eating a lot of bread at one spot and then all meat. And it's also gonna help it hold together better.
Can you crack the eggs into separate things? Because what if you crack an egg into that meat and the egg isn't good?
You know what, Tara? You're right. And that's good. It'll help you if you just beat it a little bit too before you put it in.
These are like mini meatloafs.
I'm actually gonna show you guys. If you think you used too much.
Breadcrumbs?
Yep, thank you. So I probably should have used 1 egg. This is like Nona rules, you know? It's like, oh, it's too wet, more breadcrumbs. It's too dry. And this is a very low amount of breadcrumbs anyway, per the amount of meat. That's a good consistency there. Recipe calls for 4, I'm gonna do 5. So what I'm gonna do initially, I'm just gonna divide. Dip your hands in a little bit of water, it'll help. There, good. Okay, water again. It's a little wet, but they're gonna be very moist, that's for sure, and I don't want them to break apart. I kind of go like this, kind of like an oval like that. You can stick your fingers right in the middle of it, and kind of like when you're doing a regular burger, so you force some of the meat to the outside. Let's sear these up. Okay, you can use any large pan you want here. You can even use a non-stick pan, that would be fine. I'm using a cast iron. This is a large cast iron, almost a 14-inch. I'm gonna heat it up to medium heat, maybe a touch less. You don't need to be super hot. Using a cast iron, you put just a touch down here of olive oil, but there's a lot of fat in our meat. Just wanna spread it better. This is not a well-seasoned cast iron. Okay, I'm just gonna shape them to that oval place again, and then I'm just gonna push my fingers a little bit in the middle. Just press down into whichever ones you didn't, and a few minutes below medium here. I'm like at a level 4. I just don't want to burn them. Like every time I pop this thing to a little bit above medium, things start burning. Okay, it's been about 3 minutes. We can check them, we can flip them, we can always flip them back. It's not a big deal. This is the center, so this is probably gonna be the most brown one. Okay, see that's very brown right there. So I'm gonna move this one to a less hot area of my pan. Okay, and this one barely got anything, so that one can go in the middle. See, they're breaking apart a little bit there, which is what I want to avoid. You know, you're doing it on a regular stove, you'll be a lot better than I am on this little portable burner. A lot of you ask about this burner. I don't recommend you get this burner. So that one broke apart, that one's all right. We'll let them keep going. Just move them to where you want and then just leave them alone. So like, yeah, this one here, I'll just take out. Yeah, that looks good too, take it out. Okay, and then just move ones that weren't getting cooked as well, just move them into the middle. So I did probably 4 or 5 minutes per side. These are big. Just leave the pan on, the heat on, all that. And we're gonna put the mushrooms and the onions in at the same time, okay? Let's get them coated in the remaining beef fat. If there's not enough in there, which there's not too much, you can put a little bit more on. Salt on here too will help release some of the water. Our Salisbury steaks are not cooked through yet. All right, you can knock your heat up a little bit more if you want, maybe like a 6.5. Okay, so all the water's gone out of the pan. It's been 7 minutes this took, okay? I have it up, my heat's on 7 out of 10. So now they're gonna start to brown a little bit. So it's been a couple minutes, they're starting to brown. Gonna put in our red wine. Now I'm using the cast iron, but whatever, okay? It's gonna be all right. Half a cup. Just scrape up all of the brown bits, everything from the bottom of the pan. Not supposed to cook with acids in a cast iron pan, which kind of defeats the purpose of loving a cast iron pan so much, because you're cooking with lemon, you're cooking with vinegar, you're cooking with wine, you're cooking with tomatoes all the time. I mean, that's cooking. So do as you will. I'm gonna turn this up and let it boil out. We want this liquid to all go away. By the way, I have my Salisbury steaks just tented over there so they don't get really cold while I'm making this. The liquid is pretty much evaporated. You can season them up with a little bit of pepper, touch of salt if you want. Just a touch, we already put salt down. Okay, and then this is 3 tablespoons of butter. Okay, and I'm just gonna turn my heat back down to medium. Let this melt in here. I got 2 tablespoons here. I said 3 initially, it's 2 tablespoons. We don't need 3. Just whisk it for about 45 seconds just to get rid of that flour taste. And then here are 2 cups of beef stock, okay? This is homemade, but you use better than bouillon, low sodium. Just whisking it in while I do this. And just turn the heat up to high here. Whisk this around, stir it so we don't get any lumps, and let it come to a boil. So we're gonna put in 2 teaspoons of thyme, roughly. You could also break out dried thyme. We're gonna let this boil for about 3 minutes. Just scrape up any brown bits on the bottom, flat edge wooden spoon. Okay, it's been about 2 minutes boiling. That's our consistency right now. Okay, it's a little loose, but it's gonna thicken up as our steaks go back in. So I'm gonna turn this down to medium heat. Okay, we're gonna keep this at a simmer now. We have 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire, we'll put that in. And then another tablespoon of Dijon mustard. You can play around with these amounts if you're tasting it and it's not tangy enough, you could put in some more mustard. I just wanna give it an initial taste, and then we will get our steaks in here. Nice tang to it. Yeah, sauce is a little loose right now, so I think it'll thicken up. If it doesn't, we'll just make an adjustment. About a 4 out of 10 here we want it, just a simmer. All right, let's get them all in. I'll just spoon some of it on top of each one. Okay, and here's my foil from before. I'm just gonna use this to cover it so it doesn't really evaporate much. If you got a 14-inch pan lid, put that on there too. We're just gonna let these cook until they're cooked through. I did flip them over once. Let's check the temperature, or we can just cut one open to see. Okay, we're not done yet here. This is gonna be about 135. Want to let these get to at least like 150, you know, using ground beef. If you think you're too loose, take off the foil now and let it continue to cook, and it'll evaporate a little bit more. If you like the consistency of your gravy, you can wrap it completely with foil as you cook it. You just want to cook these until they are done. Okay, probably another 5 minutes here. So these are done. Got a reading about 150, I think, in a couple of them. I mean, just cut it open to see. That's the safer thing to do. All right, it's like 144 there. It's good. Gravy started thickening up plenty when I took that off there. We don't need to do anything here. If it was too loose for you at this point, you would take some of it out, mix it in with flour separately, whisk it together, and then just whisk it back in, okay? I'm gonna turn that off. Let's do a final taste on this sauce here. Beefy, tangy from the mustard and the Worcestershire, really good. I'm gonna put a little bit of pepper on here. We're good with the salt. All right, we're gonna serve this up for the taste tester. You've been watching me make it, so you smell it. Everything looks good.
Yeah, it looks really good.
So tell them what we served it with the other night.
Did we do mashed potatoes?
We did it with mashed potatoes and peas.
That's right. That was a good combo.
Yeah, it's like, you know, it's like your TV dinner.
Okay, this is like a fancy TV dinner, minus the TV.
Yeah? I think you got to get past what you're eating. Like, don't have that association with TV dinner and cafeteria food.
Who loves school cafeteria food? I personally never had it until you made it. But it is a diner food. It is on diner menus, which I feel like diners are a Northeast thing.
Yeah, okay.
This was invented in the US, by the way.
Oh, I'm sure.
By James Salisbury.
So what do you think of it, though?
It's really good. It reminds me a lot of meatloaf, just like a mini meatloaf. It's delicious. I really love mushrooms, so This is delicious. Would I prefer this over a steak? No. But like, this is a really good meal to have. It's quick.
Weeknight meal.
It's a good weeknight meal. Yeah. It's budget friendly because you're using chopped meat.
The chuck that we purchased for this was $4.99 a pound.
Yeah.
We have a pound and a half here, so it's $7.50. Plus the wine, the mushrooms, everything in here. You're talking maximum about $14 to make this dish.
Yeah, it's really good. It tastes, to me, it just reminds me of meatloaf, which I do like meatloaf.
I think it's a great dish, but it doesn't matter what I think. What do you think?
Yeah,
what's your rating?
I gave the beef bourguignon a 10 because it was absolutely perfect. Now, mind you, this probably is perfect in the world of Salisbury steak, but do I give it the same score that the beef burgundy? No, I don't. So I'm going to give this an 8.5.
Thank you. It sounds
good to me. It's still really good, and it's budget friendly, so I definitely think you should make it. It's like a meatloaf.
That's right.
Yep.
We'll see you next time.